Xbox is doing bad, but also good. The Xbox hierarchy will never be the same. Here's how the new Motorsport made Xbox history. And let's get the PlayStation perspective on the Xbox partner preview. Let's discuss. What's up, guys, and welcome back to the weekend edition of Xbox Ready. I am back here with Jimmy Champagne. He is married, he is fresh off of his honeymoon, so we're back to cooking up these videos, y'all. Jimmy, how you doing, man?
I have to update your viewers. I got my money back, so that's the last thing that happened in this podcast.
I'm sure that they were waiting with bated breath, like, oh man.
I'm addicted to like an Xbox exclusive now because the Activision deal also closed while I was gone.
Yeah.
And Diablo is finally good, so I've been playing a ton of that.
I might need to jump back into Diablo 4, but I got so many things going on.
I know.
Ironically,
I'm gonna take a break for Alan Wake.
You're playing technically what is an Xbox first-party game, and I'm spending a lot of time playing a PlayStation first-party game because I'm playing a lot of Spider-Man, but I'm hopping between that, Halo Infinite, Lies of P, Alan Wake 2 is coming up. I'm like, please God. Someone help me. But enough about the PlayStation stuff.
No,
we're here about Xbox. We gotta talk Xbox. And Xbox, weirdly enough, they just came out with their first quarter earnings report, and they're simultaneously breaking numbers, but also falling off in some areas. It's kind of a weird situation. Xbox hardware sales are 7% down compared to this time last year, but revenue off of games and services and content is up by 13%, which is pretty dang good, I will say. 13% increase, like I would be happy if I saw a 13% increase on the channel. And a large part of that, it's gotta be Starfield, right? Like they sold gangbusters with Starfield, even though it was on Game Pass. It set the record for most Game Pass signups in a single day when Starfield released. I always say this, and no one likes it when I talk about it, but it's like, is there a future where like, if the hardware sales keep going down, but games and services keep going up, like, is there a scenario where Xbox is like, forget the consoles, let's just distribute the games, let's just be a publisher?
I feel like they'll always have a console just because it's so easy for them to break even on it, right? Like they can just make a console that's churning out numbers, right? Like they don't lose money by selling it, but they're also not making a ton of money because every Xbox console sale, I'd assume, comes with a Game Pass sub, and I'm sure they don't want to get rid of that. I would just expect them to focus on the cheaper consoles going forward, like the Series S that has the bigger SSD and all that stuff, like that they just released, the black one. Just because, I don't know, I feel like that's the console you get if you're jumping into Xbox right now, especially knowing that the PS5 Pro is coming. If you want to be the pro gamer, that's where you're going to go. The Series X is fine, but the Series S seems to be where it's at for them.
I mean, going back to Starfield, we're seeing that it's still going strong. Still one of the top played games on Xbox a couple months later. According to Forbes, this article that I'm referencing here, it still peaks at about 60K concurrent player count daily. And that's just on Steam. So like, even though people knew that it was gonna be on PC Game Pass, they're still buying it through Steam. Like it's still moving numbers. It kind of validates the whole day one system in a way. I don't know if that's going to be the case for all first-party games going forward. This is kind of a special scenario, right? Like you're not going to get a Starfield with every first-party release, right? So that'll be interesting to see if they can keep this momentum going with their other first-party stuff. Starfield seems to have provided the boost, even though it doesn't have like the universal acclaim that maybe a lot of people were expecting in the industry. Yeah. It's doing what Xbox wants it to do, boosting Game Pass numbers, selling units, and just increasing interest in the Xbox brand.
Yeah, and I think it helps that game a lot that it's like a locked 30 FPS on Xbox. It's just like a perfectly smooth all the way across experience, and it's using pretty high settings and it runs at a higher resolution. So like, I think that's a good way to play that game. But yeah, on PC, I think there are a bigger group of people all the time that are using that Xbox Game Pass PC app because Xbox has put a lot of work into making it better, but the vast majority of people on PC are always just going to buy these games on Steam just because you have it in your library forever. You could play it on a future PC, a future Steam Deck, the current Steam Deck, you know, it's just easier. And if you want to play Game Pass games on the Steam Deck, you need to stream them, which if you have a beefy PC, you'll just be like, oh, I'll buy it on Steam and play it on that at that point.
Yeah, the continued interest on PC is, I feel like, a good sign for Xbox because we know that they wanted to make a big push into the kind of PC ecosystem. They wanted to branch out from consoles and, launch it day one on PC as well, on Steam as well. And from this little snapshot, at least from their quarter one earnings, they seem to be doing okay on that front. This video is brought to you by Manscaped. I'm calling on everyone watching to help me change the story around gamers, change the perception of them with the help of Manscaped and their new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. With this new iteration of the lawnmower, they've taken precision and comfort to an entirely different level. And that's no knock on the Lawnmower 4.0 either. I love that thing, but now they're really upgrading with dual skin-safe blades. The upgraded trimmer features longer, wider, and rounded teeth to make sure you have a smooth experience that's still tough on hair. And not only are you getting the standard trimmer blade, but you're also getting a little bonus as well when you buy the Lawnmower 5.0, the foil blade. And once you clean yourself up with the trimmer blade, you can switch to the foil blade to make sure you have an even smoother, closer finish, if y'all know what I mean. And no longer will you just be blindly guessing of like, how is this going? How is my shaving session going? Because the 5.0 lawnmower has an even bigger LED light. The Lawnmower 5.0 takes everything that we love about the previous trimmers in the family and just upgrades them a little bit, makes them feel a little bit more premium. It has a rechargeable lithium-ion battery, a travel lock to make sure it doesn't go off in your luggage. And don't forget guys, this thing is waterproof, so you can take it with you in the shower, in the pool, and the jacuzzi, wherever. Head on over to manscaped.com and get your hands on the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra today. If you use my code XboxReady at checkout, you get 20% off and free shipping. I have a really funny story about Jimmy actually that I want to share. We had like I think we've talked about it on the channel before, but it was like me, Jimmy, a bunch of creators, some other Xbox marketing people, and we all had lunch with Phil Spencer. This was sometime like this time last year.
It was like a little over a year ago.
Yeah. And Jimmy was relentless because he was like, yo, Phil, like, you got to fix the PC ports, man, for Xbox. The PC ports for Xbox suck. Y'all got to get that up to snuff. And he was cool about it. He was like, yeah, I know. We really got to like do some work on that and blah, 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 blah. How are you feeling?
He asked for feedback. He was like, does anyone have any feedback for me? Don't hold back. And I was like, all right, man. I'm putting the gloves on. I'm jumping in the ring. I was like, look.
Say less. PC ports suck. How do you feel that they're doing a year later with the PC ports and like the Xbox app? Since that conversation that you had.
Really
with Phil.
good. Very positive. Very positive. I tried the Redfall 60 FPS patch and I was like, hey, this runs better. Wow, it's still really bad. And I uninstalled it, but it runs better. And Forza Motorsport, I played a couple hours of that on the Xbox app because I got a code from Xbox. It works great on PC. That is a next gen game for sure. So you get kind of a little bit of CPU bottlenecking, just a bit. So if you want to run it higher than 60, you might have a tough time. But as far as the port goes, it's a very good port. I've been playing a ton of Halo Infinite because this new season is so good. That port is excellent. It has some VSync issues, but I fixed that just by turning it on in NVIDIA's control panel. But like other than that, at high settings, 1440p, I had never seen the number 60 change because they have an in-game FPS counter. And I even used one that shows a frame time and it's like just a flat line. So that game is awesome now. So yeah, and the app itself is better. My big note would be for them to make it work on Linux, like an A-. On improvements.
Okay,
and overall
nice.
Quality, we went from like a C to like a B+.
Hell yeah. So yeah,
like better than Epic for sure.
So yeah, even though console sales or hardware sales might be down for Xbox, they're seeing growth in their other areas, which I guess in the end is not too surprising. We know that at the beginning of this generation, they were going to try to make a play for the ecosystem. I just don't think that Xbox can catch PlayStation in a straight up like one-to-one console sale race anymore. So I like this move that they're diversifying a little bit, branching out onto other platforms and stuff and trying to see growth in that way. Things are going pretty well for Xbox, 13% growth in games and services in terms of that revenue. And now they're shaking up the hierarchy like Black Adam, never gonna be the same after this at Xbox. So they're reorganizing some of their leadership. They're placing control of Bethesda under Matt Booty.
Right.
And they gave Sarah Bond a promotion. She is now the president of Xbox.
That makes sense, like, because then you want to have stuff like Redfall happening, because that was a lack of oversight, I guess, was the excuse that was given. Like Xbox kind of let them do their own thing and they got bit for it. So, you know, Xbox should be overseeing Bethesda because they own Bethesda, and then they can do cool marketing things like what we saw over the summer with that Starfield Direct immediately following the Xbox Direct. That was cool.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting to see because, you know, Bethesda for a couple of years now, technically Xbox first party, but even like in the stuff that they do for the marketing, like influencer marketing with me and Jimmy, it's like Bethesda is separate almost from Xbox.
Yeah.
Like we hear from different people when we're dealing with Bethesda than we do with Xbox. It's interesting. I always thought that was kind of not weird, but I'm like, oh, like Bethesda is huge. It's like its own thing. I was kind of reminded of that. So having it kind of, you know, an Xbox, you know, Matt Booty coming over and overseeing it from like the Xbox company perspective, I think is a good move. Hopefully it comes with like a more consistent content coming out of Bethesda, because, you know, looking back over the past year, Hi-Fi Rush, banger. Redfall, not banger. And then Starfield. I'm not saying that everything Bethesda does has to be like a 10 out of 10 masterpiece, but like a consistent, like good stuff coming from Bethesda. Like 8 to 10.
I think we're gonna get a lot of stuff from them soon, because they announced last year a Fallout 4 next gen version, and then they went away for a while and they never mentioned it again. And then someone asked Pete Hines like 3 months ago, they were like, hey, what's going on with this Fallout 4 next gen version? And he's like, threw back this like kind of flippant response where he's like, oh, we're working on something big right now called Starfield. I don't know if you've heard, but that's coming out in 3 months. We'll address it after. It's like, bro, you guys announced that you were making this thing. They're cooking on some stuff. They just wanted to get Starfield out of the way. And we just heard those interviews with someone who left there where they're like, we don't announce stuff until it's like less than 6 months away. So it makes sense. Starfield's out, DLC's coming next year. I would expect that Fallout 4 Game of the Year edition or whatever, like full next gen remaster, I bet that'll be out in November or December.
Right, and in this article talking about the reorganization of Xbox leadership, you know, they do mention ZeniMax Media, which also would include ZeniMax Online. And as per those leaks that Jimmy was referring to, there is some kind of rumor swirling around Star Wars MMO, Mandalorian MMO, maybe.
Something's gotta be going on with that. We've heard about that from too many people and like too many like direct sources now.
So it'll be really interesting to see, what Bethesda is up to post Starfield, and hopefully we have a steady stream of Bethesda stuff. Some of the things that Jimmy's mentioning, maybe some surprises coming under this new restructuring with Matt Booty at the helm. Let's shift gears a little bit. See what I did there? See what I did there? Because
I have to tell you a story really quick. I've been like looking at my computer for the past like hour, trying to figure out where this like 200 gigs of storage is coming from that's being taken up on my PC. And I just remembered before I left for Chicago, I installed Motorsport and then I left and I was like, I'm not playing that right now for the Halloween times. I gotta delete that.
I want to say it's like 130 something on console. I haven't even tried to install it on PC because I play on that Razer, and it's like I don't have a lot of space on that Razer, so I'm like, ooh, I don't know. I have to be really strategic on what I play on PC, and I gotta have space for Chivalry 2 always. I'm still playing Chivalry 2, believe it or not. Like I'm still rocking with it.
That's how I feel playing Diablo.
I am killing it. Forza Motorsport. This is insane to me. It beat the series' previous day one player count by 300%. Making it the most popular Forza Motorsport game during launch period by far. Game is particularly popular in Europe, being high in the most played game charts on Xbox. I wasn't expecting that, to be honest. I mean, you know, it has been a long time since Forza Motorsport 7, so I know people were hungry for a new motorsport, but to see it like 300% increase for the launch period that ain't nothing to sneeze at. Folks.
So it's a 300% increase over 7?
Yeah, the series' previous day one player count by 300%. So I assume that that references Forza Motorsport 7. Because like that was pretty damn good.
So is it not competing with Horizon now? Like, I wonder if Horizon is second place or for Horizon 5. Because that's wild. Yeah, I feel like Horizon 5 was huge, right? Like that was game of the year for a lot of places.
Yeah.
People were buying the early access.
Yeah, and
That's
I mean,
what started that terrible practice.
yeah, because this article is referencing that Game Pass is playing a huge role in that, so a lot of people are most likely playing through Game Pass. But a ton of people I know bought the early access stuff through Game Pass, like they downloaded the base game and then they did the upgrade, like we've seen Xbox do with a couple of other first parties. Hopefully that they continue to work on Motorsport. The team has said that they're doing like monthly drops of new tracks and new cars. I think they could benefit greatly from that. Because if you
I heard lack of content is the big issue.
Anyone who's played it, it's like, oh, this is a really solid game. The driving feels great. Everything feels great, sounds great. It's fun, but you end up repeating a lot of tracks. There was only 14 at launch. So it's like, oh, even through the different cut modes and game modes, it's like, oh, okay. Hopefully like they see the success and they're able to kind of put more work into it.
That's still cool though that it did that well, especially with how busy this season is with tons of games. Like a racing game, you don't really expect that to pop off these days.
No, it was such a crowded release schedule. And that was one of my questions I had for the creative director of the game. He was like, nah, I'm not worried about it because, racing game is such a niche kind of genre, I guess. We're not trying to compete with RPGs, right? Because we're a totally different game. So he didn't seem worried about it, and it seems like he was validated in that response because a lot of interest in it. And it seems like Xbox first party, they're kind of cooking once again. I'm hoping that momentum keeps kind of going in 2024. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, it looks like Sony doesn't have a lot coming out anyway. Like if Xbox releases anything, they're kind of good.
They don't have Spider-Man, which is what a lot of people, like every social media post that Xbox does. It's like, you got someone in the comment section being like, you don't have Spider-Man, boo. I'm like,
they got Web of Shadows.
People get Spider-Man and they start acting up. They really they start acting different. But speaking of games, we do have the Xbox partner preview to talk about. I know you watched like half of it.
Yeah, I tuned in right at the end because Jake Baldino, a friend of the channel, was like, oh, they just showed off Metal Gear. And I was like, oh, I gotta see that because I love Metal Gear. And yeah, they did. They showed that off. The Alan Wake launch trailer was really good. There's a lot of other stuff I saw in this article you showed.
Obviously, nothing too crazy was announced, but Xbox does a really good job of setting the expectations. They're like, this is our third-party partner preview. There's not gonna be like any news about anything crazy, right? But then they do the show and people are like, man, I was expecting Hollow Knight Silk Song. I was expecting all sorts of crazy stuff. And
within 6 months, right? Hollow Knight's Silk
you're like,
Song.
dude, bro. It was the same thing with Developer Direct. They were like, guys, we're only going to be talking about these 4 games. And then they did it. And people were like, oh man, I was expecting like Gears of War 6. But there was some cool stuff in this. Some confusing stuff for me. Mostly Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. I'm not too familiar with this franchise. Like I know of it. I know I probably would. I know I probably would, but what they showed off is like a game mode, right? Within Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth.
Yeah, because there's like, so many mini games in it.
I was like, okay, because I thought this franchise was about like Yakuza gang. Like
it is.
You're like,
but it also like,
and then this was like Animal Crossing
games in it.
yeah. I've seen like some of the Donkey videos where he's like doing like mini racing games, like racing like RV cars and stuff. So I was like, this looks, fun, but I was just so confused. So yeah, thanks for clearing that up. It's like a game mode within the game. What'd you think about Still Wakes the Deep? I mean, we don't know too much about that game. It seemed like the gameplay was they were on an oil rig or like some sort of like sea structure in the middle of the ocean, walking through. There's like some horrific sounds of like people crying and screaming in the background, and that culminates when like the guy goes down the hatch and he's going down the ladder, and then someone, we don't know who, closes the hatch and he falls down. You're like, oh shoot.
It looked all right, yeah.
It looked like we look forward to it, not looking forward to it. I don't know. Tell me what to think,
like
Jimmy.
any horror game. Like, I've got a pretty big tolerance for anything scary. Like, I played the whole Little Hope Dark Pictures game last night, and I feel like I got conned out of 3 hours. That's the maddest I've been at a horror game in a long time. So yeah, I'll check it out. I don't know. It's gonna be on Game Pass, so why not?
I got conned out of 3 hours.
Terrible. I never don't recommend games. I don't recommend that one.
What do you think about Metal Gear Snake Eater?
It looks great because it looks like it's just 1-to-1 the same game with better graphics. And Snake, they didn't really show him a lot in the trailer, but there's 2 screenshots of him on the like official website, and he looks awesome. Like they put in his mullet and everything.
Visually, it's looking real good. And it's cool that Xbox kind of has the marketing rights for this, because
that is cool.
Historically, I mean, Metal Gear is a game that I associate with the PlayStation platform. That's where
it makes sense. You can play way more Metal Gear games on an Xbox. You can play all of them basically at this point. Except for 4. But until this Master Collection, it was you could play everything on Xbox and nothing on PlayStation.
What a twist. We also saw RoboCop, which I was just like, hell yeah.
That looks good.
Boys will see things like this and say, hell yeah.
Yeah, that game looks awesome. Me and Jake are like the 2 biggest RoboCop fans on planet Earth, and we were talking about that. Thumbs up from the RoboCop guys.
I mean, it doesn't look like anything revolutionary, but it's like you're RoboCop, like you got guns, you blow stuff up. Like, what?
It's a walking FPS.
I don't know how, because RoboCop, for anyone who's not familiar with the movies, it's like, that's his thing, you know? He's not like sprinting, freaking slide canceling. He's just walking towards you menacingly and filling you with lead.
So I'm looking forward to that really good. So I think they're gonna nail it.
They did a little segment about Dungeons of Hinterberg, which was we got an extended look, just the press at this game after the Xbox showcase. I talked about it in a video a couple months back. But the basic premise is that it's like you are at this resort that attracts a lot of tourists because a bunch of dungeons sprung up around it. And it's based kind of in like Norwegian folklore. And they showed off some of the social aspects of this game. And I was pleased to see that, like, as you develop your social relationships, you get actual gameplay perks. So there's actual like a gameplay incentive to improve your relationships with the people in this town. I'm looking forward to this game. I don't think this is a game for Jimmy, but I'm looking forward to checking this out. Speaking of a Ray game, Manor Lords. Ooh yeah, baby, that looks like the game for Ray.
Manor Lords. I didn't see this.
It's like an RTS where you build up a village and you go to war with like other medieval estates.
Cool. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, dude. I'm like, this looks like the game for Ray, levying the taxes on the frickin' peasants and making them fight. But it's only on PC Game Pass. And it'll eventually come to consoles. Oh, speaking of another Ray game, they showed off Ark Survival Ascended.
Is it a remake?
It's a remake remaster of the base game. It's a next gen version of the base game. So it's going to be more or less the same. But visually, I was like, okay, this is a better upgrade than I was expecting. With the release of Ark Survival Ascended, they're discontinuing support. They're cutting off support for regular Ark. So you basically have to upgrade to play the current version of Ark. And if you play on console, you don't have a Series X or a PS5, tough luck. Like, you gotta get one of those or else you're not playing the current version of Ark.
So is it a free upgrade or does it cost money?
It's gonna cost money. It's a better visual upgrade than what I was expecting. I was like, oh,
so you're gonna get it, right?
I'm like, this actually looks pretty dang good. I wouldn't be surprised if it's on Game Pass too, because all of the Ark stuff, even the anniversary edition that's bundled with everything, is on Game Pass. So I wouldn't be surprised if it came to Game Pass as well, even if it's not like a free upgrade. I don't know if I can get it back into it though, because Ark is the kind of game, it's all consuming. Like, you got to be playing it at all times. And I don't know if I'm ready to make that kind of commitment, especially like when you're playing on a live server, a PvP server, where people are rating your stuff like every 2 seconds. So I don't know, but I might, just for like the nostalgia. And last but not least, Alan Wake 2. That's looking pretty dang dope.
I hear the PC port is very good too. Both the Digital Foundry boys said that it's excellent. Got a conflicting report though from our friend Jake. He's getting a lot of mentions. He's been playing at 30 FPS. Like, he locked it to 30 at medium settings, and he said that it kind of gets a little shaky towards the end of the game. but he was getting CPU bottlenecked and he has an old PC. So I'm holding
Jake
out
has
hope.
an old PC?
I'm holding out hope. Yeah, he's not a PC
Why?
guy, but he's got like a mini ITX like console style PC. It's really cool. But yeah, he's got like a 2080 in it, I think. So it's an older card. It would be considered mid-range, I would say now, or low end. But yeah, I'm excited to try it out. Like I bought it on the Epic Store because they published it. I was gonna get it on PS5, but then I saw that it's a good port, and I was like, I think I could run this at 60. So I'm gonna plan on. I heard this game is funny, which I was not expecting. So
there was a lot of other games, but those are like my kind of standouts. The finals, it looked like I might check it out, but there's like
I was like, I sleep.
There's like a ton of like high octane frenetic shooters out there.
Halo's good now. Halo is good. We're gonna be playing Halo.
We jumping into Halo? We jumping into Halo?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll play Halo.
Yeah.
Whatever. Let me know.
I'm adjusting to mouse and keyboard, and so I'm like, there are times when I feel like a god, and there are times when I'm like, oh, I suck. I feel like I've never played this game before.
There's zero recoil in that game at all.
But all right, guys, well, that's all the news that me and Jimmy have to talk about today. We are happy to be back teaming up together to keep you up on all the things going on in the Xbox world. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, ring that bell if you want to keep up to date with everything going on with Xbox and if you like Xbox content in general. And we'll see you in the next video.